in your coaching career, the way that you communicate and the relationship that you build with people is far more superior than what you put on paper. Volume, consistency, and frequency are the three most important things when it comes to training.
Take it away.
I finished the cough drop.
All I hear is the chewing of a cough drop in the headphones.
All right. Jack Noel. Is it Noel?
It is Noel.
Or is it Noel?
Noel.
Noel. Jack Noel. Jack started off as a strength coach in the private sector. He has a master's degree from Cal State Fullerton, where you were the lead sports scientist for men's soccer. Head sports performance coach at Cal State San Bernardino for 4 years. You spent the last summer working with the US OPC, which is the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee, with USA men's and women's indoor volleyball, as well as USA women's water polo. Mm-hmm. And right now, currently, you're the sports performance coach and internship coordinator at Long Beach State, working with men's basketball, women's volleyball, and softball.
That's me.
Thanks for being on the show.
Dude, thanks
Is
for
that
having
it?
me.
That's a pretty impressive resume.
Yeah, I mean...
Am I missing anything?
No, not at all. Unless you want to hear about my 1,000 hours of free work that I did,
As an intern?
As an intern.
That we all did?
We were just making a joke about that today at work because I set a goal for myself this year that I was going to run more often. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't like to run. I hate to run. But there's just, I don't know. I go and play pickleball a lot. And when you watch some people like do just genuine, supposed to be basic athletic things, it just looks so unathletic. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot let myself get to that point. So I started running. So one of our coaches comes up to me and goes, I'm going to have to revoke your CSCS for jogging too much now, right?
But it's one of those things like you do it because you don't want to do it.
Precisely. Precisely.
Like I had a friend over at my house the other day and he looked at my ice bath and he's like, why do you do that? It's like, because I don't want to. I don't want to do it. So I do it.
So you do it.
You have
exactly.
to.
You have to do it. And like, that's the thing with our athletes too, right? Like a majority of them, like I always make the joke to recruits whenever they come, like whenever recruits come in, I'll always make the joke to them of like, look, I know that you didn't come on this visit to talk to me about how much you can't wait to come lift weights with me, like at Long Beach State. Like I know that that's what you're like, haha, like you're looking forward to. No, but in all reality, like most of the athletes that come into our space are not really there to like, they're not there to lift weights. Mm-mm. And they do it because they know that it will make them better. But for us to like, if we ask the majority of the room, they'd probably be like, nah, this stuff sucks. Like, I don't want to do this either. So it's almost that like same regard, like with us, like why would we not do that ourselves?
Yeah.
Like to ourselves.
You got to practice what you preach.
Practice what you preach.
We have a tradition on this podcast. Have you heard any of our episodes?
I was listening to a couple of them on the way up here. Just to try to get an idea.
There's a tradition on this podcast where the guest of the previous episode leaves the guest of the future episode a question, not knowing who you're going to be.
Ooh, okay.
So, Simon
Please
Lamar.
don't be anything swimming because I will butcher
not.
it. Okay,
actually, it's not swimming related at all.
Oh, damn. All right.
So, Simon, it's a two-part question.
Ooh.
First, who's your idol or celebrity crush or someone you look up to? Do you have a person?
Idol, celebrity crush.
Like Simon's was LeBron James.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I've always been really inspired by Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
Like, just I don't know, anybody who falls on that like way out there spectrum. You know what I mean? Like someone who is just
do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and you look at them and you go, are you like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what most people would say about your Kobe Bryants of the world, or like any of these people that like push themselves to like great lengths. And it's just stupid the amount of stuff that they do. Yeah, I would
do what it takes crowd, not your best.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I resonate with those people more. But then for someone like Kobe Bryant to be like that and then also achieve what he did, it shows that you really don't have like any limits, like at all. So yeah, I'd have to go with Kobe Bryant. That's
Kobe
a
Bryant.
great one.
Okay, so the second part of the question, Michaela is your fiance?
Yes.
Right? Fiance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fiance.
Michaela's about to give birth, and you're driving her to the hospital, and you see Kobe Bryant on the side of the road with a flat tire. Are you stopping?
Yes, because I know that Michaela's going to be like, "Oh my God, honey, that's Kobe Bryant. You gotta help it." We're both like big
guys are
big
both
Kobe.
stuffy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because her whole family growing up. So Michaela was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. So like almost everybody in Honolulu, like they're Laker fans, right? So growing up watching Kobe Bryant, like, yeah, she would probably tell me, "Yo, honey, stop.
You better
Like,
stop.
You better stop. That's Kobe Bryant on the side of the road." Oh my God. She'd probably let him like be the first one to carry her child or something like that.
Yeah.
But
That's hilarious.
oh my God, that's a great damn. I got to follow up that question. Oh shit.
Yeah, you got to come up with something later at the end of the episode.
Wow, that's a good one. All right. Damn, don't get me thinking on that already, bro.
So the guest before Simon left like a super deep question.
Damn.
Like it was like really deep. Like you have to like really think about it.
Okay.
And so I kind of joked around like, "Hey Simon, you can kind of like go the opposite end and go shallow." And that was his. He learned it from TikTok. Apparently, apparently it's like trending on TikTok or something. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know.
Like
but that question.
question.
Yeah. Like, would you stop?
It's a great. I'm not on TikTok either, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, that's a good one. Damn. Shit, I gotta. So I'm supposed to be on TikTok to get these like good questions.
These,
then.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
All
That's
right,
where all the kids are.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna have a terrible question at the end of this because I'm not on TikTok at all.
Jack, I want to go. I think you have a very interesting career path. You went private sector, and then you went to Cal State San Bernardino. I kind of want to talk about what you learned at each stage. So like starting with private sector, like what are the kind of training principles that you learned there? And then we'll move to San Bernardino. So whatever, like what were your big takeaways from training at Fit Brea?
Yeah. So I would say that, in my career path, I've always had like the desire and the aspirations to want to coach at the college level and at a high level. And so when I first got into it, I remember working with a professor while I was at Midland University. Shout out Fremont, Nebraska for that one. But we were, and I remember him always talking about how to never limit yourself on who you coach. And so the biggest thing that I would say that I learned, particularly in the private sector, was that ability to communicate with somebody anywhere from age 7 up to 77. Because those are completely different people. Those are completely different dynamics of human being. And they're all at completely different stages of life. And so to them, performance is something different, right? It's not the performance to a 7-year-old is, can I go out and perform this tumble, right? Whereas like to a 77-year-old, it is, can I not tumble, right? Like, can I not fall and tumble over when I do this, right? And those are like, they're both important to those people, but it's not, but again, like those are going to be completely different perspectives. So I think for me, it was gaining that knowledge and experience of being able to speak with different people at different levels and at different age groups. And then also
That's so important. That part.
Dumb important. I was just having a conversation with the coaching staff today of just, the old ways of coaching, just, they don't exist anymore. You have to be so much more emotionally intelligent now than ever before.
Yeah.
I mean, because we were just talking about TikTok. You could end up on TikTok and be something viral for something like really bad, like that. I mean, just so quick. And it's like, And then also, our profession, you can look it up at any point, any time, and just be like, what's the latest thing about vertical jump, or what's the latest thing about increasing your, 50, your 53, like, and stuff like that. And so it's all over, and there's going to be 1,000,001 experts out there that are going to say like, oh, you need to do this exercise and this exercise and so on and so forth. And so when you learn to communicate with people at all different facets of their life, you take lessons from each one of those that you can then apply to whoever you're actually talking to, like in the moment. So, I loved my time in the private world, and, working at Fit and working with Andrew was such a blessing, because again, I really did. Like, I'd have someone come in who was 15 years old, and then it'd be followed by a 75-year-old, and then it'd be followed by a 42-year-old, mom just trying to, look better. And then it'd be followed by, a random 65-year-old meathead who still, thought he was 21. Right. And you just like have those people, but you learn how to communicate across the board with all those folks.
Yeah, not only do you practice your ability to regress and progress exercises for the person, depending on the limitations that you're given, you also cut your teeth with training your social intelligence, where you can't speak to the 77-year-old lady the same way you talk to the 65-year-old meathead.
Yep.
So I think Sid and I have an analogy that we like to use. In Pokemon, you fight other Pokemon and then you gain XP points.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly trying to gain XP points by the greater variety of humans that you speak with and interact with, you get an experience point from, okay, I know how to talk to a 75-year-old introvert.
Yeah.
Oh, I know how to talk to a 37-year-old extrovert. You get all these tools in your toolbox, and you understand how to not only coach the exercise, but also develop relationships with them.
Right. And like, you could almost make an argument too that the relationship is more important than the exercise.
Yeah.
Like, because if that person doesn't believe in you, and that person doesn't believe in what you're trying to do, and like what your intentions are for them, that they don't give a rat's ass what you are writing on the sheet for them, or what you're putting out for them. What matters to them is, do they like you? Do they want to work with you? And are they willing to run through a brick wall for you? Right? Like, so again, it's almost, yes, you have the ability to learn how to be able to, regress and progress and follow that path as well. But
that stuff is easy though.
Thank you. Well,
that's the easy part.
Pause. Easy for us, right? But I would argue that yes, that is the easy part. Now, there are some people who, just really struggle with that, right? And so sure, they need to definitely develop that skill, but you almost notice that the people who are really, really good with people are usually pretty decent, or sometimes they suck at like those regressions and progressions. But if they suck at regressions and progressions, I feel like it's most likely they also probably suck at talking to people too. Like, and they're not that, you know what I mean? So like, there's kind of that sway back and forth.
So it's better to be just good at the people thing then.
I would argue so.
Yeah.
Like even in college.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, yes, you need the regressions, the progressions. You need the you need to understand exercise. You need to understand physiology in order to land. Like, I would not be sitting here and having, the accolades that you read off. I would not be in the position that I'm in if I didn't know how to actually properly train people, right? But I would also make an argument that I'm also not sitting in this, or I'm also in this position because I know how to communicate that stuff. And like, getting those points across to people is probably what I've really tried to grow with the most and try to progress the most in my career. And again, like, those are skills that I developed training on the private side, because the cueing that I use for the 42-year-old mom doesn't ring a bell with the 7-year-old and doesn't ring a bell with the 77-year-old, And there's a multitude of factors of training history and injury history and whatever they doing before and blah, blah, blah. There's all those kinds of things. But again, it's how do you get it across to folks? Now, for me, it's just I do the same thing, but in a room of anywhere from 18 to 30 athletes, like at the same time. So again, those swords, you sharpen more individually one-on-one, which then prepare you for relatively the larger groups, like as you go down the line.
That part you mentioned about like getting someone to run through a wall for you, that part is so important, because you can have a mediocre training program, but the athlete believes in it 100% and they will execute it to the T.
Yep.
And that athlete will get far greater results than program that is just, it's the best program ever, but like they don't believe in you at all.
Yep.
And they just kind of half-ass it. That is not going to be as good as the former one.
1,000%. I tell my interns all the time, I'm like, guys, so they were stressing a little bit over like, so for some context, I got into the role that I'm currently in at Long Beach State like midway through the semester. And so they had already been given a final assignment, which was like create a 4-week off season and a 4-week in-season training plan. And they were like asking me all these questions like, oh my God, like, should I do this? Should I go this squat progression? Like, should I, how should I manipulate my volume? And they, like most students do, which guess what? Like when I was a student, I did too. I was obsessing over, whatever. And I was like, look, I really don't care what you put down on paper. What I do care about is just one, at least show me that you understand progressions and regressions. It could be something as simple like a squat pattern. You could go hands-free front squat, then back squat, then whatever. Like, I don't care what route you take, but
just show me there's something.
Show me there's something. But understand that in the long haul, in your coaching career, the way that you communicate and the relationship that you build with people is far more superior than what you put on paper, because everything works. Mm-hmm. Like, to your point, you could have a pretty mediocre training. Like,
everything's 3x10.
Everything, you could go 3x5 squat, bench, deadlift 3 days a week. And if that person loves you and cares about you and they're like, dude, Sean has my best interest in mind, he cares about me, then that person is probably going to get better.
For a strength coach or a coach that is struggling to get their vision across, how can you do that? How do you get a room full of, because you work with college athletes, a room full of 18 to 22-year-olds to believe in your mission and where you're trying to take them? Yeah.
Well, what is your vision? Like that's the first question that you have to ask is, what is your vision? And so if you don't have one, and if you don't genuinely have it written down, and this is something that I've had to learn through my path, is if you don't have it genuinely written down, you can say it all you want to yourself, but it's not going to come into fruition. So like for me, for our men's basketball team, I have our standards written on the board every day. Right. And so it's just like it's there and in front of you and in writing. And
what are they? What kind of standards?
So for me, what I call the standard is, these are the things that I'm going to coach you on. Right. So like, one is your rep integrity. Like, what does each rep look like? Are you doing it to the best of your ability? Are you controlling, are you under control? Right. So just rep integrity, like always having great reps. Number 2 is your posture and your position. Right. And again, the way in which we manipulate our posture can have a lot of change in the results of the exercise as well. Mm-hmm. Right. And so are you in a lazy posture, or are you in a more upright and a better are you in a better position?
Yeah.
Right?
What is your cervical spine position during a row? Yeah.
100%. Like, what is your, what does your T-spine extension look like? Like, I think that, people can get so, we can go down a long rabbit hole on this, but people get so wrapped up in the back and particularly the back squat, on how like it's like, oh my God, it's so much load on your spine. Like it's going to destroy your spine. Well, yeah, if you're like this, like, and the bar is here and you're like this, yeah, no shit, it's going to hurt your back. Like, duh, but what happens when you get into more extension? Like if you watch really good weightlifters squat, they're in a lot of spinal extension. That's good posture. That's what it's supposed to look like. So I coach them on that. And then the third one is, what's your purpose and what's your intent, right? Or so it's purposeful and with intent. Like, we are there for a reason. Make sure that when you're doing your stuff, you're doing it for the reason that we're doing it for. And it's not
purpose as in like, I'm going to drive this barbell up as quick as possible, or is it like I'm going to fulfill my God-given talents? Or both.
Damn, you could genuinely take it either direction, right?
Okay.
But I think it would be more of more with the idea of, this is what is asked of me. This is what we have today. So we've been doing a lot recently. We've been doing a lot of we don't have weight releasers, which, cross my fingers, Frank, if you're watching this, you should get weight releasers. Remember, I put it on the list. But we've been doing a lot, I've changed, and we do a lot of our accentuated eccentrics through like 2+1s. So like 2 down, or like 1 down, 2 up type things. And so like, if that is if the purpose of today is to load the eccentric, then I am going to be very mindful and intentful and purposeful with loading in that fashion. That's what I mean more by purposeful and with intent, right? And then of course, yes, like if I say drive the bar, you better drive the bar. And if it kind of looks like this, then obviously that's not meeting the standard.
Do you use velocity stuff?
We don't
drive that. Oh, you don't have it.
We don't have access
to
it. Yeah, we don't. And like, I would use it, but I would use it at a certain time. So it depends on the time. It's going to depend on the time frame. And so this is something that I learned from Tim Pillow during my time with the men's women's indoor team. Was we wouldn't really get into any of the really high velocity stuff until later in the plan. Because the biggest thing at the beginning is, and it was a wild experience to like be around really high level athletes like that and just see like how some of them just didn't really know how to move. Like their RDLs, looked like Jefferson curls, and their back squats were like all hip dominant, almost like powerlifting based. And they were like, oh man, Coach Jack, my back always hurts. I was like, well, no shit. Like you're like this, and you're trying to you're essentially doing a standing hip thrust. Like it's completely different movement, right? And so we really took. Tim did an amazing job, which I have no problem saying, like I've completely essentially copied and brought over to like what I do, is just taking so much more time to develop a relationship with tension and develop a relationship with motor development, right? And so like spending like a good 8 weeks or so of just building that, and these are with Olympians. And I'm like, and it was so funny, like going into that role, I was like, dude, oh my God, like I'm going to learn all about like the quasi cycle and like how freaking cool it is to plan things like 4 years out. No, he recycles the same thing every summer. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, wait, pause. That does make sense. Because they'll be with the team from like April to October. But then October to the next April, they're off with their pro team doing God knows what. Like it's really interesting in volleyball. Like volleyball is very like either super pro strength conditioning or super anti strength conditioning, right? You can go whatever route you want with that. That's fine. Again, if they're willing to run through a brick wall for you, then it's going to work. But man, some of them they would come back so beaten up and so broken that if we had tried to go into velocity based stuff out the gate, because that's the thing to do, like we probably would have lost them.
Yeah, because motor patterns weren't ready yet. The body was damaged and beaten up from, jumping 150 to 200 times. But
I shouldn't even say jumping. I should say landing like 150 to 200 times a day for 5 to 6 days a week, right? So that amount of impact just does a absolute torching on your joints, right? And also, if they don't have any quad strength, then like all of that load is going straight into their back. And because they're all going to land like this, like they're catching a kettlebell swing.
You said earlier, tension, like early in the season, you were focusing on tension, motor development. What does that mean?
So a relationship, so Tim always coined it as like building a relationship with tension. And so when, again, understanding and just building a better body awareness about essentially where you are in space and time under load, right? And so an example would be we would do ISOs, a lot of ISOs, but like RDLs. So we'd be at the bottom of the RDL, which like most people would look at and go, oh my God, like you're going to destroy your back. It's like, well, no, if you're in the correct position, you should actually feel all the load in your upper back and the way you're holding your posture standards and in your hamstrings where you're supposed to feel it. Right. And so we would do a lot of those. We would also do a series of different rotator cuff and other, I don't want to call it supplemental work, but again, regressions, right? So you would start with some and then we would start introducing a little bit more, but now more like eccentric load. So like slow tempo type stuff, right? And then it would build into where we would accentuate the eccentric. So we would do things like it was actually torturous, a Smith machine, Bulgarian split squat, accentuated eccentric. So they would go down.
Oh, geez.
Oh, dude. Yeah. It was, oh, man. I did it one day. I think my ass was sore for a week. Like literally deep in the butt cheek, sore. But we would like have guys go down with like 120, 130 kilos, but then come up with like 70, or about like 80 or something like that.
Weight releasers?
No, in a Smith machine. So you're standing on one side, I'm standing on the other side. Let's say Sid's in the middle and he's doing it. So he goes down, the bar sets on a pin, we pull off, he stands up, we reload. Yeah. Oh, so like kind of old school-ish.
Broke boys weight releasers.
Broke boys weight releasers. Absolutely. But again, like in a Smith machine, it works because you don't have like this.
You don't have to worry about
stability. Yeah. Like one thing that I remember Tim telling me, he was like, don't ever do this with a bar, because if you do it with a free bar, like something is going to go wrong. Yeah. And again, that's coming from someone who's done this for like 20 years and has probably seen like
everything.
Yes.
Yeah. You're just controlling for that variable.
You're just controlling for that variable. So again, that relationship with tension, to be able to get to that point, started with you actually knowing and understanding what it feels like throughout that movement and in certain ranges of motion, right? And in correct posture and in correct positions as it goes. So when I talk about that relationship with tension, that's what I'm referring to.
It's funny because we use the same exact thing. And I learned it from Joe Ken's Block Zero.
Yep.
Same exact thing. It's just said a little bit differently.
For sure. If there are any strength coaches that don't know what the tier system is, that is the easiest like starting out system for you to ever run.
It's like what I still use.
Dude, it literally, there are hundreds of thousands of strength coaches that still use it. Yeah. And if you look at it in some way, shape, or form, everything is a tier system, right? And this is coming from a guy who was on the ground and understands that like, oh, hey, I'm working with a lot of like Olympic sport athletes. I shouldn't say Olympians, but Olympic sport athletes who can play their sport 12 months out of the year. It's a completely different beast than training someone in football. And I think that that's one of the, that's something else that someone could make an argument. I won't be that person because we'll go down real deep rabbit holes, but like is relatively an issue in strength conditioning is that we're still educating people on how to do strength conditioning for football. yes, football makes a lot of money. Yes, it's a very easy, low groundwork place to start where you have you have a general physical prep block, then you have a hypertrophy block, then you have a strength block, then a power block, and different things like that. Are you going to do that with are you going to put one of your swimmers through a hypertrophy block in at some point during the year? Sure. But again, what if they're swimming in a competition that week? It's the training card says we have to do 5 sets of 10. So we're doing 5 sets of 10 this week. It's like they swim on Saturday.
I've seen that.
For sure.
I've seen that.
Both, I'm sure you have. And I'm sure both of us have in some way, shape, or form, right? I know of people, and I know of people who literally have the same training plan and the same rep schemes and the same movements for every month of the year. And it's like, okay, I get it. That is general physical prep, totally. But they're in the middle of their, you're in the middle of your year and you still have to be able to complete your skill, because as much as I want to think that strength conditioning coaches are the reason that we win games, right? Again, as much as I want to think that,
right,
I know for a fact that's not the case
right,
at all. You have to go get a PhD in your sport. But if you don't have any juice or energy to be able to go do that and to be able to continue to develop that skill, you're not going to get better at your sport.
I do think, though, the strength coach has more of a responsibility in stopwatch sports or distance-based, like throwing, javelin, shot put, those sports where there's objective measurement of yes, good, or bad, no, right?
Yeah.
Versus team sports.
Yes.
Right? And you're someone, actually, I wrote this question down for later, but I guess we're on it now. So
we're on it now.
You've done both. You've coached track, which is a stopwatch sport. You've done shot put, javelin, all that stuff. And you've also been on the team side of things. What strategies do you implement? Because in stopwatch sports, generally, there's a season and then you want to peak for a specific competition. Opposed to team sports, you kind of want all qualities to be ready at the whole time, right?
Yep.
Opposed to team sports, you can let certain qualities die down and then have them peak later on. Are there what strategies do you use to make sure this is a loaded question.
No, it's great.
Certain qualities peak at the right time?
Yeah. So in the past, I've used a couple different models. The one I most recently used with my track athletes is we would basically just go from high to low. Okay. Right. So we would basically start the week. So let's take a week that's Sunday to Sunday and it's in track season. So Sunday off, Monday would be our bigger day. This could be whether that's intent. I think the other thing with stopwatch sports is intensity becomes a much greater factor. In terms of, and by intensity, I mean load on the bar. So a bigger day on the intensity spectrum would be a Monday. A Wednesday would be moderate loads, but maybe we're trying to go for something high velocity, right? And then Friday is kind of a tune up and a primer. So you can just see kind of the progression go on the way down. I think for me, if I were to do it over, I would manipulate the volume a whole lot more. In the last year, I've probably become such a bigger fan of volume and really just gaining a better understanding of volume. Because if you really there's a really interesting study, and I forget who wrote it, but one of the things that I was looking at we were really looking at over the summer was this idea of overtraining. And so I think that with stopwatch sports, this is where it can come into play a lot. Is in overtraining, the question we were really trying to answer was, does it exist? Does overtraining really exist? And it's funny because a majority of the papers that did anything on it were looking at swimmers and swimming athletes, right? Particularly distance swimmers who just do ungodly amounts of volume, right? But again, everything always kept coming back to this idea of volume, right? Of being like the number one elicitor of fatigue. And so for me, I think if I were to do I would do a similar progression as I did in the past, but more or less manipulate the volume more than the intensity. In the sense of like, we could relatively do like, so for my basketball, like for the basketball guys right now, like tomorrow when we lift, we play on Thursday, but tomorrow when we lift, we'll do 2 sets instead of a typical 3. And like, it might not seem like much, but if you add that up over time, like, and relative to percentage, it could be anywhere from like a 25 to 30% drop in overall volume, which then we also know, like from peaking research, that when you drop the volume and actually allow themselves to have some super compensation time, like they perform better. So I used to always, like, again, look at things from the intensity lens, but if I ever had the opportunity again, like to work with track, I would really try to look at things through more of a volume lens than anything else.
So before your old method, you were dropping the percentage on the bar.
Yes.
You were going start at 90%, 85%, and then maybe before the track meet, they're going 75%.
Yep.
Opposed to now, you're saying that you want to keep it maybe at 80, 80, but it's going like 5 sets, 3 sets, 2 sets.
Yes. Exactly. Because like,
because you can lose that strength and power.
Yes.
Right. And you want to be able to hold on to that a little bit. That was one of the big lessons that I learned in our last season when I was coaching our pro team is I think I came off the intensity too early. I went into the dynamic effort, speed, strength, speed stuff a little bit too early. I think we went into it like, it was like 6 or 8 weeks out from the US Open, which was our primary competition in December. And we went into that way too early. And I think we would have been okay doing more of the heavier strength stuff like 3 weeks out. Like I was afraid of like killing them too much.
Yeah.
But I think had I managed the volume, like if we just did 4 singles, 4 doubles, right?
Or like, you know, I'll usually use like step loading, where like set 1's kind of a warm up set. Set 2 is a ramp up set. And then set 3 is that like 80 to 85% set. And then done.
Yep.
There's your stimulus. Like you got your stimulus, you're done. Next. Like, and you move on from there to where then in an off season block, you could go warm up, ramp up, 85, 85 and do like 4 sets. So now you just add an additional set, right? But for sure, like I think especially on like the speed strength and the strength speed side of things, like I don't know. Like that could be like an interesting conversation as well in the aspect of, does that stuff really exist? You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like in the sense of like, is there really such a thing as speed strength or strength speed? Or is it just an intensity range? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't.
So I guess like one of the ways that like you look at it. So, okay, everybody talks like when you talk about like speed strength, like
it's like 30 to 40% of your 1RM as fast as you can.
So you're trying to move it as fast as you can. So it's like speed in the presence of strength, right? Is kind of how it's been described. But like, that's just an intensity range.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we want to try to, wouldn't it almost be better for us to just touch the ends of the spectrum? You see what I'm getting
You're
at?
vertically integrating versus just going to one end and staying there.
Yeah. So instead of like you have the force velocity curve, which by the way is, side note, amazing how many actual like students and up and coming strength coaches don't know what the velocity curve is.
Crazy. We have the best video or force velocity curve?
I've watched that. That's,
No, from you.
yes, I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
You post it every time.
Every time we talk about the force
Every
velocity
time.
curve, it's Jack Noel squatting and not moving anywhere.
Not moving, and then all of a sudden, no. But again, to that point, I guess the idea, what I'm trying to get at is, why spend time in this gray area in the middle and just spend more time at the ends of the spectrum? So like lift heavy, control the volume of the amount that you lift heavy, and sprint and move fast. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Olympic lifts have a place. And like most people would say that like they fall in your strength speed world, right? Like strength in the presence of speed, right? And the thing is that like I am a fan of Olympic lifts. I am. Like I use them regularly. I teach them a little bit differently than I used to, but like I still use them because it's a great way to work on producing force, and power is king in sport, right? So like there's still that aspect of it. But with the people that we work with, would you categorize them as, because I would categorize them as barbell generalist, right? Like they use barbells and dumbbells and strength tools to benefit their sport. They do not do it to get better at doing it, right? Now, the result, obviously, of you do anything and you're going to get better at it, right? Whether you do that correctly or incorrectly. So how many people that you've been coaching or have been doing strength and conditioning with you for, let's say, like more than 2 years, how many of them have improved their clean by doing more cleans?
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Right. What else were you doing with it?
Were
you also doing relatively heavy squatting?
Yeah.
Right.
Heavy deadlifting. Yeah.
So who's to say that you actually got better at cleaning by doing more cleans?
Yeah. You're saying that the strength ceiling just improved, and so the clean technique didn't actually improve.
Now, is that us stepping away and saying don't do cleans anymore? No. But again, you brought up
The
one
strength
end
ceiling
of the force curve and potentially expanded one end of the force curve this way, which then moved that curve over.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
You see what I'm getting to? I know that took way too fucking long to get there, so my bad.
I'm
also,
a little
if you're not
slow.
supposed to cuss on this podcast, my bad. So.
No, you can do it.
All right, hell yeah. But again, like that's what I'm referencing to.
I see.
You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, because you're basically just increasing this and then this and then
Yes.
this also improves.
And then this just already kind of improves with you.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you look at like really elite weightlifters, like, yes, they're still working on the skill of when you get up to those heavier weights, like I love watching the video of Pocket Hercules. Have you seen that dude?
No.
Homework. Look up Pocket Hercules on YouTube. You can tag it in this video. It's the guy, is he Greek? Gosh damn it. Yes, he's Greek. He weighs like 64 kilos and clean and jerks 335.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot remember his. Yep, there it is. Yeah.
What's his name again?
Gosh damn it.
Oh my God.
I can't remember his full name, but that's 335.
He's shorter than the barbell.
Yes. Precisely. So
Well,
again,
how
like,
much is that? That's 170. What? 335
kilos.
335 kilos?
Kilos. 335 kilos.
335 kilos?
Kilos. And he weighs 64 kilos. That's triple body weight.
Total. 335 kilo total. He's not clean and jerking 335.
No, he's not clean and jerking
That's
335.
170 something.
He had a but again, like that's a triple body weight clean and jerk.
That's insane.
So when you get to those level of weights, you'd have to have a skill. Like that guy has a really elite skill of being able to manipulate under that bar.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if you asked him that he got that way from doing more cleans, I can promise you he's going to say, no, I increased my squat. Like as soon as my squat strength went up, like my clean strength went up, because the skill then the strength translated over to the skill.
Yeah, I guess at that level, once you're at that level already, your skill level is already tapped out. Like your skill is not going to get that much better.
Yeah.
And so then the only lever that you can pull is to improve your maximum strength. And then that's going to flow down into the skill of the Olympic weightlifting.
So then couldn't we particularly make an argument of doing that with stopwatch sports?
Yeah.
So again, it's not, and again, this is just kind of, this is more just fun of kind of bullshitting ideas about it. Right.
Okay. Do you think there's any merit then to be doing strength speed work at 60 to 80% of 1 RM? Because I've spent time in that zone in the force velocity curve, but this past season, my gut was telling me like, do we need to do that? I don't know if that was portion of the season was very productive, and it didn't feel like we moved the needle much. And now that you're mentioning that, I'm like, huh.
But again, like for me, and this is just like where this is just also one of the things that I've kind of changed my opinion on, because I would consider 60% to 80% as like ramp up sets to like get you ready for 85%. So we know that 85% intensity is roughly, that has almost kind of come to be like the magic, and I hate to use
it's one of the best places to spend your time in to become strong.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I don't like the word magic, but it's like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because anything more than that, then it's too tiring and
Precisely.
you can't train again.
So again, why wouldn't we just spend as much time as possible at 85% and just manipulate the volume off of it and do the same thing at like high speeds?
Oh, okay. You're changing my whole idea of training.
I don't mean,
no, this is good.
But again, I went through like a relatively similar thought process this past year where I was like, and I bring that up because I would do some of that similar speed strength stuff with our track teams. It would be more of like a Wednesday session. So again, just kind of coming down the force velocity curve. And I was like, gosh, damn it. I had the same feeling. I was like, because they would come in and they would, in their heads, of course, I didn't have VBT. So like you have velocity-based training units, which do help, right? I didn't have that. And I was like, well, shit. They say they're moving it fast, but when I watch it, it doesn't look fast. And it's like, it's kind of junk. Like it's kind of junk volume. And sorry to any of my track kids who but again, like, like if you're hearing this, and I didn't give you a bunch of junk volume, I swear. But again, I could look back and almost argue that a lot of the things that they were doing on the track, like was much more beneficial. And where I could have been of better assistance was 85% for like 4 sets of 5 on Monday. Same movement. 85% for 2 sets of 5 on Wednesday. 85% for 1 set of 5 or not at all on like Friday.
And then compete on the weekend.
And then compete on the weekend. And then compete on Saturday. Right? You could like have that as a ramper, or like if you're somebody, or you could even do it too where like you do the ramp up sets and then don't even touch 85. So you do the 60, the 70, the 75 to 80 and then done.
Yeah, that's enough to maintain the strength.
Right? Because I've always felt that there wasn't enough strength touched throughout the season, which again, like potentially opening up a whole nother can of worms. Load management is a really fun buzzwords to throw around in professional sports right now. My argument for load management is that it's swung too far one direction, and now we are detraining athletes. So now we are eliciting a detraining effect on particular athletes to where they get hurt because they have still been mismanaged load-wise, but now instead of it being too much, it's not
little.
enough. So again, you can almost make that same argument of like force, velocity, and just keep trying to expand those out in that direction.
So talk to me through this. My general training philosophy has been kind of like the high-low thing that you're talking about, but more on a macro scale. So I go from force velocity curve. I start on the force, and then as the season goes along, we start ending up more on the velocity side of the curve.
Okay.
But I'm still vertically integrating to make sure that I'm not losing the different qualities.
Yep.
I just kind of manipulate the ratios of how much we're doing. Like we're doing a little bit more speed stuff later in the season.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, like, now that you're mentioning this, do I even need to do the strength speed stuff? You know, and do I just keep them at doing strength the whole time? You know,
and then
do I need
but
to
then
change the velocity throughout the season?
Maybe not the velocity, but change the volume.
So just less strength work, or
Sure.
The volume of the strength work gets lower as I get closer to the competition.
As you get closer to competition, could be a route that you go.
What am I doing? Am I just doing less work overall then, or am I filling with more accessories, or you know, if I'm doing less volume?
Yeah, you might do. So like, and again, this is a progression that I've taken from Tim, and from my time over there is we would go in a block, week 1, 3 sets, week 2, 4 sets, week 3, 4 sets, week 4, 5 sets, start over. 3 sets, 4 sets, 4 sets, 5. 3 sets, 4 sets, 4 sets, 5. But how we would manipulate that loading is kind of in that ramp up style that I told you, right? So let's use a squat for example. Mm-hmm. So let's say it's a back squat. You're in a 3-set week. Set number 1, 60 kilos. Let's just say we're just throwing some numbers out there. 60 kilos. Set 2, 80 kilos. Set 3, 100 kilos. Next week, 4-set week. Set 1, 60 kilos. Set 2 and set 3, 80 kilos. Set 4, 100 kilos. Week 3, still 4 sets, 60 kilos, 80, 100, 100. And then in the 5 week, you go to 3 sets of 100.
60, 80, 100, 100, 100.
100, 100, right? And then you start over. And now
65, 85,
and you might go that route, or maybe in that 5-set week after that second set of 100, you're like, ooh, 100 kilos felt really good. I'm going to try 105, and maybe you get 105, right? But now you've just provided more opportunities you've just provided an additional opportunity for them to potentially be able to do that, right? And then you start the next block over, and yes, you might go 65, 85, 105, and then kind of start the whole process over. And so the idea behind it is that the progression and the growth is gradual, and it's not a spike.
Yeah.
So like most people, like, okay, a plan like 5-3-1. Remember Jim Wendler's 5-3-1 program? Bro, like another one, tier system and 5-3-1. If you're a strength coach watching this, like, and if you don't know those systems, like, you live under a rock. So like it was first week, 3 sets of 5, second week, 3 sets of 3, third week,
5-3-1.
Third week was 5-3-1, and then the last week was 3 sets of 5 at like 40%, right? Well, if you go from, like, again, the ramp up of that is actually quite steep. And if there's one thing that we know in regards to overtraining syndrome, is this facet of rapid spikes in load and rapid spikes in change and volume actually are one of the biggest causes of the problem. So if you take a little bit of a slower approach and let the progression build less like an airplane trying to take off an aircraft carrier and more like double the runway of LAX, you kind of get this, you eventually do get up there, but then it just happens so gradually that the body can continue to adapt to it as you go.
And you can stay there longer too.
And you can stay there longer.
Yeah.
And it's
because you have such a good foundation.
I used to make it, I laugh because Tim would ridicule me on this. He would say, yeah, the strength sticks. I'm like, you know what that sounds like? Sounds like a good pot roast. You ever had like a really good pot roast and you just like finish it? You're like, dude, that shit is rib sticking good. Like it just fills you up. So then like anytime that I would make that joke, he'd be like,
strength.
It's like a damn pot. It's like a damn strength pot roast, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I coined something for you. So,
did Tim do a lot of speed strength work?
Not until later in the phase. So our progressions would go, and again, like I'm relatively copying it. And I have no problem giving credit where credit is due. I learned it directly from him, but it would start with like motor development, and then we would move into like high performance strength, which was more of like tempos and controlled things. And then we would start increasing the velocity of the eccentric. So like increasing so again, that would be
like you're doing overspeed eccentrics, or
yes.
Okay.
Like, so that was the last phase. That was the fourth phase. So there were 5 phases in total. The first one was like motor development. So we use a lot of isos and different things like that. The second phase was slow eccentrics at like moderate volumes. So it would be more of like 3-4 second tempos on things like that. Third phase was accentuated eccentrics. So now we're talking overloaded or how some people refer to it as super maximal eccentrics. So we're using like those kind of phases. Fourth phase was high velocity eccentrics. So bands, drop catches. This is a lot of times where depth drops would come into play. It was interesting. We really didn't do a whole lot of plyometrics up until that point.
And this is specifically for volleyball.
This was So this was very particular to volleyball, but in all reality.
And what phase of the season is all this happening? This is
happening all the way through the summer.
When is the volleyball season?
Good question. So, if we're talking the national team schedule, so they would report to us in May, and then their first 3 months, or June and July, were what they called VNL, or Volleyball Nations League. So it was a 3-round series and then a finals. So basically they would travel and play a series of games. So like the first weekend they went to Rio de Janeiro. Second weekend they were in Chicago. Third weekend they were in Japan. And so we didn't make the finals this year. So we missed that fourth week. So there would have been a fourth weekend that they would have gone to play. And these are rough. So again, you're playing roughly 3 to 4 games in this period, but there's about a 10 to 12 day period between. So like, for example, when they went to Rio, it was like the first weekend of June. And then they went to Chicago like the 3rd or 4th weekend of June. And then they went to Japan like in the middle of July. And then they would have gone to finals like the first weekend of August. So there's still a little bit of space in between. So this is all happening during that time period. Then in August was basically all prep for World Championships, which was in September. So then in that regard, phase 1 would have been when they got there.
May.
Phase 2 would have been June, which, you're playing
the isos.
Phase 2 was like slow eccentrics.
Okay.
So like that would have been in that period where you're playing roughly 2 rounds of VNL. Mm-hmm. Third block, the accentuated eccentrics would have been there in July. Again, it also kind of depended on the travel as well. So there were other like factors with it to where maybe you don't have access to being able to do accentuated eccentrics. So you would just kind of adjust as you went. But that would happen in July. And then the fourth week, which was the high velocity eccentrics, or the fourth phase was the high velocity eccentrics, that was happening in August. And the August period was like, there was like a 3-week block where there was no games and it was just preparation. So like it was structured out with that schedule in mind, knowing that there was going to be some time in there for us to get for them to get a break and really just dedicate to training. And then when they went to world championships, it was all concentric stuff. So like pin squats, pin squats, pin presses, lots of just concentric base type things, like reverse band squats, different types of things like that.
So
as
basically, you guys kind of made the decision that world championships are more important than the VNL.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was decided pretty early. So again, that also takes communication with your coach.
Yeah.
Of
What is the important one?
What is the important one? And you could make an argument that for me, in most team sports, the most important games are championship season, which happen at the end of the year. So when you're looking at a team sport schedule in that regard, makes sense. Again, then talking about stopwatch sports, swimming, track and field, throwing, and all that kind of stuff, it becomes different because yes, you have certain meets that you want to peak for and be ready for to then get you ready for, or to potentially qualify you for the next meet or qualify you for whatever. So would that exact model work? I cannot say because obviously I did not have that experience with stopwatch athletes. But you could potentially make an argument for it. You could also make an argument of you write one session of exercises, and you do that 3 days a week and then just adjust the volume as you go through the week. And you run that for months. Forever. Potentially forever. Like one thing that I've vowed to myself is I don't write any more than 3 sessions a week. So like if someone comes in a fourth time, we'll just repeat A. You see, so
do you have people that come 4 times a week?
So like coming up in the spring, I'll have volleyball in 4 days a week, and I'll have volleyball in 4 days a week, and then I will have, like right now I got basketball in 4 days a week. So for basketball, I just have 2 sessions and we just flip them back and forth.
So you go A, B, A, B.
A, B, A, B, and I'll just manipulate the volume. Right. So like again, tomorrow and Friday when we lift, they'll just be 2 set lifts instead
of doing less than earlier in the week. So
exactly.
Earlier in the week you're doing more, and then later on you do less.
And then you do less because again, you're going to play on Thursday, and they're going to play on Saturday. So now that basketball's in conference play, they're playing Thursdays and Saturdays pretty much throughout the year or for the rest of the year. And then when we hit like conference championship time, that will be where we'll have the biggest cut in volume, where we'll probably train on Monday of that week and then, or potentially not at all, and just do more recovery stuff, maybe more bandage stretching, more foam rolling and things like that. But again, we've already built up this ginormous tank of volume.
The strength stuck.
The strength stuck.
Yeah.
The strength pot roast stuck.
Yeah.
Like it's stuck. But it's also, with that idea in mind that 2 sets can add up quick. Like you calculate that out over the course of an entire year, that's still a lot of sets, right? And to me, that's a better option than not training at all.
If you're consistent.
Bingo. To where like, if you're doing like, if like your first week you train 1 day, then the next week you train 4 days, then the next week you don't train at all, and then the week after that you train 3. Like if you're too up and down like that, like it doesn't. No,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
None of this works if you're not consistent.
None of this works if you're not consistent. But again, the consistency piece also plays into the volume piece as well, right?
Yeah.
Right. It directly relates to it. I was just talking with one of our other strength coaches on staff about it too, of how like volume and consistency are so much more important. Volume, consistency, and frequency are the 3 most important things when it comes to training.
I agree.
Like genuinely. Like just if you're going to go 3 days a week, go 3 days a week
Forever.
Don't change.
Yeah.
Stop going like, well, I can't do this week. I'm sorry. Like, which is, something that was tough in the private sector.
That's what we deal with.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like reverting back to that question of like, that's something tough that you can experience a lot in the private sector is you'll have a kid come in for 3 days, 1 week. Then the next week he's only in once. Then the week after that, he's in 4 times. Then the week after that, you don't see him. And then the week after that, he's there for 2.
It's like, how are we supposed to progress any of this?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like, that's why I'm really happy I'm not in your shoes in terms of like running like a business on that side, because now in the college realm, like if you're not at weights, you're probably not on the team. Where it's like, no, this is like a regular part of our schedule. That's a little extreme, but like if you're not at weights, you're either coming in to make it up at another time because you have to, and it's a requirement of you, or you're like deathly sick or something like that. Right. So there's like those regards to it too, at least like in the realm that I'm in now. But again, like in your world, it's completely different because
it's not in my control.
It's not in your control. It's all voluntary. And that just, that's the difficult part with that stuff.
Talk to me about overcoming ISOs.
So again, where are they in your, like, again, it matters where they go into your time and place, right? So when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's always important to understand what is the goal. Like, what are we trying to drive here? And so honestly, for me, I actually love that you bring that up because I would almost put overcoming ISOs in over like strength, speed, strength work.
I'm actually thinking of doing that this season.
Because again, but think about what's the goal. Like for you, what's the goal of the overcoming ISO?
I have 2.
Okay.
One is for tendon rehab, integrity, make it more durable.
Yep.
The second one is provide a stimulus with very little fatigue.
So, and again, there's no eccentric loading on an overcoming ISO. So boom, fatigue part gone. Also, the tough part you run into is the effort piece, right? To where, that's something, that's always going to be the toughest part. Like it's always going to be the toughest part. Like really, can you get them to really commit to putting forth the effort that you need, or are they just kind of pushing against the rack and then like looking around and going like,
you probably don't want to use it with your 13-year-old boys who are
hell no. They don't even know what pushing is. They don't know the difference between push and pull. Like they push on a door when it says pull. Like, you know what I mean? like so with those people, like you're not doing that stuff. Now your high level Olympians and those folks.
I have no problem with them.
Hell, of course you don't. Now, how many of them like train together? Is there a group? Do you have a group?
Yeah, we have
them?
a group. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I would do them with my baseball guys. It was a part of our pre-activity prep, and it was so they would all be in a group, standing around one another, and just absolutely howling, screaming bloody murder at one another. Like, come on, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it worked awesome for them. I tried to do it with our cross country team. Your answers is exactly all I needed, right? Where like,
I've worked with cross country.
Yes. Yeah. And the idea and the intent is there. And again, it's nothing against them, but it's a completely different animal. Like it's a complete different beast. So like it works super good for my baseball guys, and they loved it. Like they were all about it. And I mean, damn, I could have damn near, like, if I wanted to, I could have damn near ended the session there because I knew that I got a stimulus out of it, right? But of course, like we still went on and did other things and it was great. But again, that the camaraderie in that room was completely different beast than, than my cross country team.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that con of not putting the maximal effort into it. Any other cons with overcoming ISOs that you can think of?
Probably just space and equipment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the one thing that's a pain is like setting up the bench,
Yes.
overcoming ISO,
Yeah.
setting up the split squat ISO.
Cause like if okay, we have like if we do it, we like take the safety bars and we flip them over and put them on the other side and like, pull against it if we decide to do it. And it's just like, dude, is that setup like really is it really worth it?
And like the J cups, they fall off and you have to like get it right.
Exactly. And you have to like manipulate yourself to get up like into the right spot.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I agree with you. Like, again, everything is a tool, everything is a stimulus, and everything can work. It's just a matter of like, do you believe in it? Are you willing to do you think that it's worth going that effort to apply it? And if you really, really believe that it is, then dude, send it. Like 100% send it. But that's almost something I actually literally just had this thought. If you're going to do speed strength stuff and like, you're married to it. Let's just say you're married to it. Okay, do an overcoming ISO and then go do your speed strength stuff. So that like, we could even say that like you have an athlete who loves, let's just say they love trap bar deadlifts at 65%. Like it makes them feel good. Okay. Well, you're not going to get away from that because that athlete is paying you like to train them. So you're not going to get away from that. But you also don't want to take away the strength stimulus and keeping the strength to stick, right? So you could potentially do an overcoming ISO pull and then have them step over and do their 65%. Maybe. And again, that is literally just a random thought that I had like 2 minutes ago. So
it's a good strategy.
It could potentially work. I've done it where like we've used it as a primer for jumping. So I've done it where like we pull against the rack with a trap bar for 5 seconds, step out from underneath, and then jump with the trap bar in hand for like 3 reps. It's like a route you could potentially go. Or you use it to like, prep yourself for a heavy single or something like that. There's a plethora of ways that you can do it. But again, like if you're really willing to commit to it and you're really willing to say like, I think that that's worth it, then dude, go for it.
I'm going to experiment with it this training cycle.
Okay.
I've used them in the past, but I haven't extensively used it.
Okay.
And I'm starting to see the benefits of it.
And by extensive, you mean like do it for more than 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, like I plan to use it the whole season.
Hell yeah.
Just see what happens. Talk to me about protocols, like sets, reps, duration. Is there different durations for different muscle groups? Are you going 3 seconds? Are you going 20 seconds? Is it 30 seconds?
Yeah. Again, all of it context specific, all of it very dependent on the time of the year. And also like where in the phase are you? So
say right now, we're early phase. We're in the GPP phase right now.
Okay. So if we're in the GPP phase, like, and let's just say we're in the first block of training, we're doing sets of back squat ISOs for like a 10 to 20 second hold.
Okay.
And then come up, rack it, and it's like 1 rep. Right. So we're doing that. We're doing the same thing with RDLs. We're training our rotator cuffs. We're training our posture. We're training our upper back. We're training our hamstrings. We're getting the hamstring curls going and different things like that. But again, that rep range could be anywhere from like potentially 5 all the way up to 15.
15 sets of 20.
15 sets of 20.
Is that what you said?
No, I said 5 to 15 reps. I was going to say 15 sets of 20. Oh my God.
Wait, 5 to 15
reps
for
rough
20-second holds.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Now I understand what you're saying. No.
So yeah, sorry.
No,
The question
so,
is overcoming ISOs. What's the protocol? GPP.
The protocol for that would be accumulate 10 to 20 seconds through maybe 5 reps of 5-second pulls.
Okay.
That's what we're going for. That's what we're going for. So that's what I would say. Accumulate like 10 to 20 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Criticize me here then. So the GPP phase that I just wrote for our athletes.
Okay.
I'm basically hitting every major muscle group. I have a seal row, overcoming ISO. I have a bench, overcoming ISO.
Cool.
I have a pull up in 3-position pull up. So it's like overcoming ISO at the top, mid, low.
Okay.
I've got a hamstring curl, overcoming ISO. I've got a split squat, overcoming ISO.
Nice.
What else? Oh, I've got a shoulder extension where they're pushing down.
With the volleyball athletes at USA, we would use that as a test.
Yeah,
so they would put
the shoulder eye test
so
on
they
the
would,
vault.
they would push into the
So
vault.
we have that. We have one here,
Nice.
where it's mid, so it's like here and also here because it's swimming, right? So we're trying to do all of it.
And also, strength is joint angle specific.
Exactly. So that's why I have it's multi-joint. I also have Sid was just showing. It's an overhead, so they're grabbing like a 60-pound dumbbell.
Okay.
And then you're externally rotating overhead here,
Oh, shit.
but it's an overcoming ISO overhead. So you're quadruped. Well, you're not quadruped. You're like triped.
Yeah.
And then you're externally rotating as hard as you can. I mean, it's not going to move because it's 60 pounds.
Is the elbow on a bench?
It's on a bench. Yeah, sorry. It's on a bench.
Okay.
So you're pushing the elbow down, and then you're trying to do that.
No, that's a great idea.
But the protocol
Imagine if somebody could externally rotate 60 pounds.
That's what Sid
Oh
said.
my
He was like,
God.
what if I lift? I'm like, dog, you're not lifting that, dude. He does. I'm like, holy shit.
I'd lose. Bro, pause. If you have someone who's doing that, they're not here, bro. Like, they're a mutant, man. Then aliens are real. Because, like, dude, if you
I sent a video of the overcoming ISO. It's a single arm overcoming ISO on a Smith machine.
Okay.
Because on Smith machine, you
Yes.
can adjust it
Yeah.
easier. And I was doing overcoming ISO single arm, and I sent it to our physical therapist. I was like, hey, what do you think about this one? He's like, what if you pull yourself up? I'm like, dog, there's no way I'm pulling myself up, dude. Who do you think I am?
But yeah, well, that's what I'm going to say. It's like, what if you can?
It becomes a yielding ISO instead.
A quasi ISO where you're just constantly.
We tried it yesterday. We were not moving.
Okay. But that also might be something where like you potentially have to, hold yourself, like strap yourself in and pull hold yourself down. Like that.
Maybe over time, once you get stronger.
Yeah, maybe definitely over time.
Yesterday, there was no way we were going to move.
No. So let me guess. You're sitting on the floor with the leg straight out in front of you, and then you're pulling.
Yeah, well, we were crisscross applesauce.
Okay, that same. Yeah, similar idea.
So
but yes,
the protocol I'm using right now is it's 2 sets of all of that.
Okay.
Week 1 is, I believe, 10 seconds. Week 2, 15 seconds. Week 3, 20 seconds. And
you're pulling for 20 seconds.
Yeah, max effort. Or we did. Yeah, it was 20 seconds. Week 3. Yeah.
Okay. My all those things great. The only thing I would say is it truly max effort after 20 seconds?
No, but it's max. The intent is max effort. So yes, the force is going to come down.
Okay.
Obviously,
got it.
But
Yes.
they're going RP 10 for 20 seconds, and my rationale behind that is I need volume and tension so that I need time so that the tension gets into the tendon.
Got it.
Not just muscle.
Makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yay, nay.
No,
criticisms?
yay. No,
Okay.
that's great. But that's early. Okay, and this is all. Let me guess. This is also with people who you've been working with for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually combining 1x20 protocol. 1x20.
Yep,
Michael
absolutely.
Yessis, right?
Absolutely.
So week 1, it's 1x20.
Nice.
Week 2, 1x20
Nice.
plus overcoming ISOs.
Nice.
Week 3, 1x15 plus overcoming ISO.
Nice.
Week 4, 1x10 plus overcoming ISO.
Nice.
And the primary purpose is we've got a long year ahead of us.
Yep.
The athletes have to swim fast in August,
Yep.
September. Some of them are September.
You have a lot of time
I have a lot of time
to just really heal.
just heal, get them more resilient, robust. So I was
Love
trying
it.
to think of a program. How can I make them super robust?
Dude, golly, you could almost. So, the original protocol was same, but then instead of overcoming, it was yielding. As you did like body weight isos. You could almost do that, then go into
Yielding, then overcoming?
yield, then overcoming, and then start your block. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you go, you know who Jay Schroeder is?
Bodybuilder?
No.
No? Why is it familiar?
So,
I'm thinking of Jay Cutler.
well, hey, it's not a bad person to think of. No. Okay, so Jay Schroeder used to train this guy. He became really
in
famous.
the old school videos, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Adam Archuleta.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So like he was infamous for 5-minute isos.
Wow.
Now that's could be a little extreme. You could potentially build to that, but you could potentially start there, then go into the overcoming stuff. And here's why. So again, you develop that relationship with tension. So you develop that relationship with tension at a lower intensity first. Maybe it's 3 things. Maybe it's a split squat, a dead hang, and a body weight push up. You just develop a relationship with intensity, and then you start introducing it at much higher, again, outputs over time, to where now you have relatively rebuilt some, because we also know that like tendons can take like 8 to 12 weeks to really hypertrophy, right? So there's an 8-week block right there. So you basically go 1 by 20, and then 1 by 20 plus yielding isos, 1 by 15 plus yielding isos, 1 by 10 plus yielding isos,
and then
start over, and then go overcoming from all those same positions. But now you've given them a 4-week period to accumulate some volume as well, because you can also think of like tension, muscle tension is volume, right? So you're getting more of that. You're accumulating a shit ton of it because you're holding a position for 5 minutes. Granted, you don't have to do 5-minute isos, but like you could do a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You could potentially load it if you want to,
My only other fear with doing that for an extended period is we work with a bunch of sprint athletes, so they need to be twitchy.
Okay.
Do you think if I went too far on the spectrum of endurance, because 1 by 20 is kind of like endurance, right?
Yeah.
Do you think their Twitch profile would change, shift over to
Are
type
they
2?
stopping swimming?
No.
So they're still swimming. I don't think you would lose that. I really don't think you would lose much.
You don't think the Twitch fiber type will change or anything like that?
No, I don't. It's a very valid argument because yes, they relatively do still need to be like snap and go. But is it bad to take a little bit of a break from it as well and potentially let yourself reset and kind of decompress? Because, okay, if they're not going to swim, if they were not swimming for that whole 8 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
But if they're still in the pool and still touching
speed, that
velocity piece, right?
Yeah.
And now, sure, it's not high force, but you're working your way up to high force, right? You can go either direction. Genuinely, both would work. And you also know your athletes a lot better than I do. If they have a fear in their mind that, oh my God, like, what if I get slower? Then you should probably go with all the overcoming stuff. To where like in their mind, if they're like, oh yeah, this is going to make me way faster, way twitchier, then you should probably go with that.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
At the end of the day, it's like what you believe.
100%. And it's also, but then like, let's say that you then potentially lose the mental, you might lose them mentally. It might be a little much, but like you might lose them mentally in the aspect of where they're like, well, man, we've been doing all these holds and like, I'm not getting any faster in the pool. It's like, well, hold up, my boy. It's the goal is not to be faster in the pool right now. The goal is to try to heal. But if that still doesn't resonate with them to where if they still feel like they need to be touching something close, either at or close to their best, then, that's where you would probably go more in a direction of, yeah, we should probably back off and do a lot more of this kind of more high force type things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That would be my stance on it. So again, like but also like, again, reverting all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, that takes your emotional intelligence to be able to know and understand that of your athletes and the people that you work with, which is why if you're not good at communicating or connecting with people, you're going to have a really hard time as a coach.
Yeah. The other thing I have to consider is there's a meet in March. It's a national level meet.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not the Olympics.
Yeah.
But I know if they're like super slow at that meet, that will affect the confidence for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So like, I'm not like fully tapering peaking for March, but I also
it's a
need
mini
to,
peak.
Yeah. I also need to produce some results so that.
Okay. Well, you also didn't mention that earlier. So then,
so the 8-week protocol,
Yes. So
immediately I thought like, nah, that didn't make sense.
Then scratch that shit. Cause I wouldn't do it either if they had a meet in March, coming up. No, like I'm with you. I'd go straight to the overcoming stuff.
It's so interesting. They don't teach you this in the textbooks, like in the strength textbooks. You don't learn this of like.
But again, it's because in the strength textbooks, they're focused on periodization for football.
Right.
American football is the periodization model, right? And yes, if you are just starting out, you should 100% learn from that. This is no knock on the NSCA. This is no knock on the CSCS. It is still the gold standard. If you do not understand how to program for American football, you probably shouldn't be a strength conditioning coach, right? But then
I don't know if I do. Shit.
Well, then you better go back and read the textbook. But again, it's then the nuances off of that.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why, like, as controversial as he was, why Louis Simmons was so interesting and why the conjugate model was so interesting, because you look at the people that he got it from the Soviet Union, where they were trying to build multiple qualities at the same time. They didn't give a they didn't give a rat's ass about American football. They cared about the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what can most Olympic sports do all year long? They can continue to compete. Like they're going to be in competitions. Like for their weightlifters, they compete in March, then probably again in April, then probably again in June, probably again in August. So, competing 5, 6, 7 times a year, pretty stretched out, instead of just having, okay, it's this 3-month period that we are going to be competing. Mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. It's all kind of relatively spread out. Or you take their track and field athletes in that same regard. So again, like, as controversial as you want to say that he was, the idea of concurrent training is really like what we are talking about. Whether you are a timed sport or a team sport, we need to bring up multiple qualities at the same time. To where, again, for me, when I'm looking at it in a strength conditioning realm, my job is to bring up the force qualities. The sport is going to bring up the velocity qualities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So instead of spending time in this gray zone, let's spend time in the weight room developing the force qualities. And then when they go out to the court, they can express the velocity qualities. And now that whole curve just continues to shift to the right.
Speaking of expressing force or sport qualities, I met Tim once.
Yeah.
And he blew my mind because I forget what we were talking about, but we were basically talking about speed strength stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, but aren't they already doing speed strength in the sport? And I was like, oh my God.
So
my mind was blown.
Blown. So like there's plyometrics are the really cool trend on social media right now.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah. So
they've been around forever.
Oh, really? So again, like, but of course, okay, before I make this point, that just brings up another great aspect of what goes around comes around, right? So like what is old will become new again. I remember Bob Alejo saying one time, he was like, you call it what you call it, and I'll tell you what we used to call it. Right. So in here, so with plyometrics, so plyometrics are kind of becoming like, again, they're becoming kind of a big thing, and they're starting to make some mainstream, right? So there's a particular individual that I really, really enjoy. His name is Matt McInnes Watson. So he runs a company called Plus Plyos. And again, granted, his target market is more of like people like me and you who are, well, okay, you compete in sport, but people like me who compete in pickleball, you know, like, and are just trying to be relatively like recreationally active. So when you have those folks, yes, they should be exposed to some plyometric actions. But again, what is the general basis of a plyometric action? It's the stretch shortening cycle, right? But doesn't that also happen all the time in sport? So why are we adding more? And we already know that volume is one of the number one elicitors of the overtraining syndrome. So why would we add more volume of the stretch shortening cycle on top of volume of the stretch shortening cycle that you're getting in practice?
The only argument I could make is that in the weight room, you could do whatever that is to a greater degree. So for example,
That, for sure,
jumping, like you're holding weights and jumping, so you're loading it more than you could in your sport.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only, like so when Tim told me that, aren't they already doing speed strength in the sport? Then I'd started thinking, okay, then what is the purpose of doing any speed strength in the weight room? It's to be able to mechanically load positions that you might not be able to load in your sport. And then you're applying load in those positions. And you're basically, you want to just do what you can't get in the sport, whether it's position or load, and then do that, you know?
Yeah. So like, you know, one of the big plyometric we used to do with the volleyball guys and gals was depth jumps. So again, that's the extreme
from a super high box.
Yeah. I watched a guy jump down from a 42-inch box up onto another 42-inch box. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, those guys are ridiculously bouncy. It was crazy. But
and you're not doing that in the sport.
Precisely. Yeah. You're not doing that in the sport. But this guy also was putting his chest like over the net when he would hit the ball. So like ridiculous jump heights. But again, that's an extreme end. But you could also make the argument when you're looking at the force velocity curve of like that depth jump is happening way out here.
Right.
And you're just expanding that velocity even further. Or you could put it at the force end as well, of like the landing piece of it as well. And you're just expanding that out even further, which continues to grow that curve.
Yeah.
So again, there's those actions. But to that point, what I'm getting back to is that I don't think we need to touch like things like plyometrics as early as a lot of people do. Like, let's take some time and let this stuff develop. Because like I really think that people try to get into jumping too quick and too early. Right. And so if you're not already like exposing yourself to those things, let the sport be the kind of the lower end of the spectrum and kind of gradually build the tendons and ligaments up to be able to handle it. And then as you get farther along and more adapted to it, then you start exposing it to the extreme stuff. Because again, remember, the original plyometrics was the shock method, which was depth jumps, hurdle jumps, and things like that, where you're actively trying to strike the ground and be aggressive. Did they all start there? No, they would have practice and then maybe do like some hill jumps or like go up hills, which reduces impact. They would jump into sand, which reduces impact. And then as practice progressed and as the progression went, you have this buildup of the stress shortening cycle over time, and your tendons and ligaments adapt to it. And then you start exposing yourself to the extreme things. So again, it's just slower progressions.
Yeah. I got to wrap up.
You do.
Yeah. I got to get out of here.
You got people to train. You got things to do.
I got to go pick up my son.
that
from daycare.
That is
Sid has
someone
to go train people. So,
but that's someone that you have to train. Because I've seen him.
True.
I've seen him do it.
Have to train him. Yeah.
By the way, I was bragging to my sister. So my sister just had her first child, and so I met him over Christmas. Mm-hmm.
Congrats.
And I was bragging to her about your jumping off the stair progressions. And so I just want you to know that is included in his long-term athletic development model of jumping off the stairs and landing. Yeah. So for you, inspiration. I appreciate that. That's big time.
Thank you. Can you leave us a question for our next guest?
Oh yeah, I got it.
I don't know who it's going to be.
You don't know? Okay, great.
I don't know who it's going to be.
What is a weakness of yours that got exposed in 2025, and how did you grow from it?
What was yours?
For me, it was realizing that I am enough, but also realizing that there's so much more that I could pursue and there's so much more that I could do. And that also, don't let other people pull you down. So in my time before, like at the beginning of last year, I was in a tough spot, like in my career. And like, that's why I made the change, in regards to leaving the job at San Bernardino. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of negativity in that realm. And I was letting that dictate me and how I was approaching my career, learning, and my own growth, and really realizing that the environment that you're in is so much more important than you realize.
100%.
Holy shit. The quote, "You show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future." Like, my God, that
Couldn't be more true.
Could not be more true.
Yeah.
Could not be more true. So, yeah, that was mine. It was definitely huge.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. Your Instagram is at coach_Jack_Noel.
That's me.
I also found your email address on the internet. I don't know if you want me to share live or not.
Oh, go ahead. No, that's
you
fine.
Want me to share? Okay.
I
mean, it's on the internet, so if you Google it, it does pop
really?
up. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I found
that's
it.
Fine.
Okay, so if you want to contact Jack Noel, I wanted to go into the whole, like, how do you become a college strength coach? Like, what should you look for in an internship?
Wait,
what
are you
should
telling
do?
me we have to do this again?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
hell yeah.
like I had
All right,
a
let's
whole.
go.
I ended up not even reading any of the questions I had prepared. But
I literally knew we were going to do that. Because
like I wanted to go over that whole career side of things, but we got to go.
We'll do that. We'll do that at another time.
But yeah, if you have questions about becoming a strength coach or anything, hit up jack.noel@csulb.edu.
Yeah, that's my work email. Totally fine.
Anything else we can plug? Anything else you got going on?
No, those are the main spots. If you have I tell people all the time, like, whether, especially the recruits, like, I don't even care if you come here or not. If you have questions about something, just ask. Like, I'm happy to help. You've probably learned really quickly, I enjoy chopping it up. Yeah. So, like, I can chat about whatever at any point. So, yeah.
Awesome. Email him.
Yeah, email me. And expand your network. That'll be the last thing that I leave you with. My network is the reason why I'm sitting here today. And so make sure that your network is expanded really, really wide.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Appreciate you.